Hello, welcome to Google Earth, a tutorial. So Google Earth is a great tool. It's a free tool that we use in geology and a number of other applications. I also use this when I'm out hiking and mountain climbing and just adventuring in general. So there's a lot of uses for Google Earth besides just science. But this class will rely heavily, periodically, on doing things in Google Earth. So I created this little tutorial to give you a once-over on everything Google Earth has to offer. Now, there are a few different ways to access Google Earth. There's actually an app, a Google Earth app, that you can utilize. It works okay. There's actually a download of Google Earth called Google Earth Pro. It's great, but then there's also the web-based version. Just the web-based version, Google, is it earth.google.com. I like this one the best. The app, it's lacking a few functions that we kind of need to make it kind of scientific. Google Earth Pro is just a little too much. I mean, I use Google Earth Pro in some of the things that I do in geology, but it's a little much for an introductory geology class. But the Google Earth web-based version, earth.google.com, just right. Not too little, not too much, just right. So in any case, I've gone to Google Earth. A few options. So let's start over here on the left side. This is where you can change your settings. And a number of other things. So one of the biggest settings you'll want to be careful about is actually two of them. Determining on what I'm asking you to do in this class, you might want certain measurements to be in feet and miles. Perhaps you want it in the metric system, meters and kilometers. One thing to make sure you're always on is that latitude and longitude formatting is in degrees, minutes, and seconds. Not degrees and decimal minutes, not decimal, that first one. More on both of those later. But in any case, there's some options there. Over here, the magnifying glass is where you can put in anything and it'll take you there. Whether it's a small little feature or large. Let me just type in Arizona. And it'll kind of take me and show me all of Arizona. We won't really use Voyager too much. We won't use, so if you click on I'm feeling lucky, it just takes you to a random spot on Earth. It's kind of cool. You can create projects in Google Earth. I do that in some of my classes. We do projects in Google Earth. You can change the map style. So clicking there, you can have it clean. So there's no borders, no labels, no places. It's just straight land. Exploration has some borders and labels and places, and I think that's what it defaults to. Or you can have everything listed. Sometimes that's a little much. Sometimes it's okay. But again, I think it just defaults to exploration. And you can also do some measurements in Google Earth. So let's say if I wanted to measure how far is it from Phoenix to Flagstaff straight. I can click on Phoenix. I can click on Flagstaff. I come over here, I hit done. It's 123.74 miles straight. Say, well, what is that in feet? 653,323 feet. What is that in meters? 199,000 meters, etc. So some great tools in Google Earth over there. Over on the right side are some of your controls. So let's go back to Estrella Mountain Community College. What you'll notice is when you go to a location and it zooms you in or zooms you out, it's kind of spinning you around, kind of just continuing to move. As soon as you just click on the screen, it stops. All right, it stops. That can be kind of annoying. There's usually a little box over here if there's some information from the web, from the interwebs. It kind of gives you some information here. Excuse me. One thing, if we're interested in a particular point, a little red pin says, okay, this is what you put in here. Whether it's a name of something or whether you put in latitude and longitude coordinates. More on that in a later time. But this box can also sometimes be annoying. If you hit X, that will close the box, but it also gets rid of that pin. So that specific point I wanted you to look at, it might not be there anymore. So the way to kind of minimize this little box, if it's kind of annoying you, is just hit the caret, this collapse, and then it's just smaller and out of the way. Now you have a better view. Okay, so some of the little functions over here, zoom in, zoom out. Our brains work best when we're seeing something from above like we would normally see it on a map, and that's with north pointing up. That's what this little arrow here indicates. So north is the red arrow, so north is actually this way. So if I just click this once, it just rotates, so now north is pointing up. Sometimes that's helpful for our brains. We can switch between something called 2D mode and 3D mode. I'm actually in 3D mode, meaning like if I was in a plane and I looked out, I'm seeing things kind of in 3 dimensions, how I would kind of see things normally. If I switch to 2D mode, that's kind of like saying I'm looking straight down, like it's a flat map. Like I'm just looking straight down on the flat map. I'm not getting any sense of depth or dimensions. I'm just looking straight down. Now this little button that changes you from 2D mode to 3D mode, it shows you the opposite of what you're actually in. So right now I'm in 2D mode. It says 3D mode, but that's because if I click this button, it will change it to 3D mode. It says, hey, if you want to go into 3D mode, click on it. Now I'm in 3D mode, like I'm kind of there, flying above, looking out. I can get a sense of depth and things. Again, but the button says the opposite. So if I want to go back into 2D mode, just flat, looking straight down at it, like a map, there I go. Again, if I want north pointing up, I just click once. This little stick figure, if you click on it, it says either select or drag and drop. I don't like the drag and drop. Just click it once, and you can go into something called Street View. All these lines and blue dots appear. What you can do is click on any of these lines or blue dots, and it takes you to that particular location, and either Google or someone, an individual, made a street view as if you're kind of standing there, and you can kind of look around. So for instance, let's say this one. If I click on this, right, so this is street view. So now I can like look around as if I'm actually standing there. And what's cool, you used to be able to make these. I don't think you can anymore, or if so, I don't know how. But I actually made this when I was practicing. So you used to be able to make this. I'll try and figure out if we can do that again. But I made this so you can go in these street views, and it's if like you're like I said, you're standing there. To get out of street view, you can just hit that back arrow, and it takes you back into whatever view you're just in. Sometimes, depending on your computer speed, it takes some time to load. So once it's 100%, the image is fully loaded, and it's kind of cool. It also tells you the date that this last image was taken from a satellite. So this was taken in October of last year, or 2022, depending on when you're watching this. I don't ever really use this one. Fly to your location. One other fun one you can do is the little compass here. Instead of just clicking it so north is pointing up, if you double click it, it switches over here and it gives you some controls. This light gray ring on the outside, if you left click and hold, you can actually control what angle you're looking at. Let's say if I go back into 3D mode, click on the screen to make it stop moving, I have control of which angle I want to look at it at. So that's if I grab that light gray ring and I left click and I keep it held down. Now I have control, what angle I want to look at. And then also, this is kind of the same thing with this black circle in the middle. If you click on it and then drag it vertically, so up or down, forwards or backwards on your mouse, you can kind of change the tilt of what you're looking at something at. So I'm going to left click and hold it down and move my mouse forward or backwards. So that's kind of changing the tilt at which I'm seeing this at. So now I can see way off in a distance as if I'm really low to the ground. Now I can go a little bit higher, kind of change my view. What else do we got here? So down here, some additional information. So this tells you the scale bar for a current view. So this amount of distance is 100 feet. So for instance, let's say, I don't know, let's look at, I don't know, this is about the same size here. So you can kind of eyeball it. Oh, that's about 100 feet right there. It also tells you how high the camera is above the ground. Like if this was an actual image, if I was flying in a hot air balloon looking down at the ground, this is what I would see if I was 2,300 feet above the surface. These weird numbers here are coordinates. It's latitude and longitude. More on that at a later time. But since Earth is a sphere, it's not flat. Since Earth is a sphere, we had to come up with a way to come up with precise coordinates to locate points, single points on Earth, and we came up with these latitudes and longitudes. And then this last information is elevation. Elevation is how high above sea level a particular point on Earth is. If you go to San Diego and you're standing right at the beach, right at the ocean, then your elevation is 0 feet because you're at sea level, which is where we kind of measure it from. That's our reference. You're 0 feet above where the ocean is. However, here in Phoenix area, we're 900 or 1,000 some-ish feet above sea level. So if San Diego is kind of here, so let's say San Diego is here, San Diego's here, then Phoenix, we're kind of up here 900 or 1,000 feet higher than San Diego. That's what elevation is. Now in Google Earth, you can figure out your exact elevation, and it's wherever your mouse is. All right, it's wherever your mouse is. So that's usually best done in 2D mode, north pointing up, and then again, wherever your mouse is, that tells you the elevation. So for instance, if you've ever been to campus, my office is actually back here. So right along the sidewalk here, the elevation is about 1,001 feet above sea level. But this little grassy area is actually a little depression. It dips down a few feet. So you can see that down in the bottom right corner, the elevation changed to 998 feet above sea level. So wherever your mouse is, Google Earth tells you that specific elevation. That's wherever your mouse is. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think that's about it for the basics. There's some other things over here. We might get to that. Nothing that you need to know important. Play around with Google Earth. That's the best way to get better at it. Just play around, see what it does. Put in, different locations, whatever. We will utilize this in this class a number of times, so you'll get more and more comfortable with it. But I suggest just play around with it a little bit. That's how you'll kind of get better at it. Google Earth sometimes has some quirkiness to it. If you ever have issues or questions, please reach out to me. Search the internet for help. Those are some great ways to do that. All right, I think that's probably pretty good for our kind of Google Earth tutorial, at least for now. Again, like I said, if you have any questions, reach out to me. Kind of search it out on the internet. Oh, I know one more. So this is a Google product, Google Earth. So it's best run on Google Chrome as a web browser. It will still run on other web browsers, Safari, Firefox, like those sort of things. It used to only run on Google Chrome. So if you're having some issues with Google Earth and you're using a different web browser, try running it in Google Chrome. Google Chrome is free to download for your computer. So give it a shot. All right. But in any case, like I said, that's all I can think of for now. It's just a little tutorial on Google Earth. If you have any questions, let me know. Search the internet and go from there. Have fun.